You're watching the ANEC Sports Podcast on YouTube. The show starts right now. Welcome to episode 9 of the ANEC Sports Podcast. My name is Sam Frick, founder and editor at Around the Northeast Corner, covering 30 schools across Northeast Indiana and parts of Elkhart County. That includes the ACAC, the NECC, and the Northeast 8. So, we are into the first days of fall, the actual fall season. We are more than halfway through the fall athletic season as a whole. We're less than a month away from the first official girls basketball practices, probably about a month or so away, 2 months away, I should say, from the first boys basketball practices. So it's coming pretty quickly. It's going by fast. And we're going to have a lot to talk about here this evening, recapping what we saw last week. And we will have a couple interviews to look ahead to this week. So, without further ado, let's get into the talk around the corner, and we begin with girls golf sectionals, which took place for our ANEC area schools over the weekend. And for those that do not understand what we're talking about when it comes to the girls golf sectionals, it's not your traditional state tournament where you have to win the sectional to advance per se. Although it's nice to win a sectional, it gets you a trophy into your trophy case and whatnot, but it's not a necessity, or it's not the only necessity, I should say, for a girls golf team to have a successful year in the postseason. Just the same as boys golf and track and field, and you get where I'm getting at when we talk about those type of state tournaments. If you finish in the top 3 as a team, you get to advance to regionals no matter what. If your team is not able to advance to regionals, if you have a golfer that finished in the top 3 amongst players that played on non-regional bound teams, that player on your school gets to go to regionals and represent your school. So there are 2 state tournaments in one. You have the team state tournament and you have the individual state tournament kind of going on at the same time. So let's begin and recap with the sectional going on at Northridge. That was the first sectional that had ANEC schools involved in it. Northridge won the sectional with 310 points. Carroll placed second at 330. And then Concord just squeaked by East Noble with 405 points. Overall individual leaders, Alex Reshley of Northridge scored a 68. Taylor Larkins of Carroll scored a 70. And Addie Irving of Northridge scored a 74. One worthy note here in this sectional, we found out that 3 individual golfers from the ANEC area did advance to regionals despite their teams not being able to advance to regionals. And these 3 are Lily Oburn of East Noble. She scored an 88. And then 2 girls from the Fairfield team, Isabel Blosser with 91 and Mallory McGowan at 96. So we have 1 East Noble golfer and 2 Fairfield golfers going to regionals individually into regionals. We then go to the sectional at Angola. DeKalb, defending sectional champion from the previous season, they repeated as sectional champions with a score of 328. Concordia placed second at 344. And then one other ANEC school did advance to regionals with a third place finish at 375. That is Leo, as they edged off Northrop, and Fremont notably scored about 405 points, Northrop at 397. Individual overall scoring leaders, the first place winner was Olivia Stronschek of Concordia with a 79, edging out Sophie Pfister of DeKalb with 80, and then her teammate Jaden Tompkins of DeKalb scored an 81. Those were the top 3 overall leaders individually, and then the top 3 individuals that advanced on non-regional bound teams. Those 3 are Cassie Clark of Bishop Dwyer with a score of 82, Danica Eagle of Northrop scored an 85, and then Emery Laughlin of Fremont scored an 86. So Fremont does have 1 golfer still alive in the individual state tournament, as she will advance to regionals. Then we look at the sectional down at Warsaw. I think it's only a couple teams, Columbia City and Whitco, were in that sectional. Unfortunately, neither team did advance, but Congratulations to Warsaw, Northwood, and Culver Academies as they advance to regionals as a team. Unfortunately, none of the Columbia City Whitco players were able to advance individually. In the sectional Homestead dominated this sectional, scoring a 323, beating out second place Norwell by 71 points. And South Adams placed third with 416, edging out county rivals Adams Central and Belmont to advance to regionals as a team. You look at individual leaders. Homestead dominated the top 4 leaderboard for Homestead. Caroline Burns and Brianna Knoll with an 80. Dominica Cassini scored at 81. Cameron Nevin scored at 82, all representing Homestead. But Ellie Gannon of Norwell scored at 85. It don't matter because she's going to be advancing to regionals with her team because Norwell did place second. Now, I will say this, one worthy of note here from the Belmont side is that Ella Hockemeyer did score well enough to advance to regionals individually with a 97, tying Julia Arnold, South Adams, and Savannah Simmerman. And so that's one worthy of note in terms of top individual leaders on non-regional bound teams, as well as I believe London Smith Adams Central also advanced to regionals, despite Adams Central failing to reach regionals. London Smith scored a 98, placing 11th, tied for 10th overall, I should say, in that sectional. And then I think there is one more sectional I need to get to real quick. Yes, the sectional at Eastbrook, to which the Bluffton Tigers, who were recently named ANEC Co-Teams of the Week, one of the ANEC Co-Teams of the Week, Bluffton scored a 359, edging out Wabash by 6 points to win their very first girls golf team sectional championship. And that was made possible thanks to Emma Schwartz scoring a school record 76, who performed the best out of everyone else in the ANEC area with a 70 minutes, edging out Adeline Cutting of Huntington North, who scored at 82. And Roland Goodpasture of Southwood also scored at 82. Emma Adams of Wabash scored 84. And Addison Sword of Northfield scored at 86. Among individuals who advanced to regionals, despite their teams failing to reach regionals, Adeline Cutting was the top leader with 82, along with Roland Goodpasture of Southwood and Addison Sword, as mentioned earlier. So congratulations to the Bluffton Lady Tigers. They, along with the Cal, are the 2 lone team sectional champions from the ANEC area. And we want to congratulate all the other schools that were able to advance to regionals, including a team we failed to mention moments ago, Southern Wells, who won the regular season league play in the ACAC. Southern Wells placed third with a 372. So the Southern Wells Raiders are also regional bound as well. So if you're a Wells County fan, you got to be really excited about your golf teams right now. I believe, according to Ryan Walker of the Bluffton News Banner, this is the second time in the history of Wells County to have all 3 girls golf teams going to regionals in the same year. So congratulations to these schools on being able to advance to regionals. We also want to talk about football real quick, and starting off with the ACAC, I just want to go ahead and quickly get to the schedules here so that I am not forgetting anybody for sure. But while we're getting there, I will say one worthy note from the ACAC. Adams Central, who was down 7-0 to start the game, and it was a tight game for about 3 quarters. And the Jets fashion, they were able to come back, and they were able to eventually win that game by the score of 33-14. Aaron Hershey had 8 carries for 107 yards. But overall, this was a total team for the Jets, who did not play their best early on in the game, but Adams Central regrouped in the second half. In Jets fashion, they found a way to win a tough game on the road in Monroeville, and Adams Central wins their 21st straight ACAC football game, which means they are now within 1 game in the streak of tying Leo for the longest ACAC winning streak in the history of the football conference. Leo, when they were a member of the ACAC up until the end of the 2014 season, Leo had a streak of 22 consecutive conference wins, which came from the 2008 season all the way until the 2012 campaign, right around 4 years where Leo dominated the ACAC, which included 2 separate runs to semi-state during that stretch. Adams Central now has the opportunity to surpass that streak at some point this season. We'll talk about the upcoming matchup in a moments. Bluffton defeated Jay County 34-25. Again, with that matchup with Bluffton and Jay County, historically, these two teams have been very competitive against each other. So that's not super surprising to see that. I believe Cooper Craig had 100 yards rushing. He had a couple touchdowns, and then he had 85 yards receiving, including a 51-yard TD reception, I believe, in that game. So he had roughly 190 yards of total offense for Cooper Craig. Axton Best continues to be Axton Best with over 200 yards passing, 3 or 4 touchdowns again. Sorry, 2 touchdowns, I believe, for Axton Best. Craig was really the star of that game for the Bluffton Tigers. They were able to find a way, just like Adams Central, Bluffton found a way to win a football game against the Jay County Patriots. South Adams dominated Blackhawk Christian 70-13. Overall, when you look at the stats, it was pretty much a total balanced effort from everybody, including Titus Lehman and Derek McCain and the Ramirez kid that they have at running back. It was just a total team effort all across the board against a Blackhawk Christian team looking to continue to build their program, as it's only in their 3rd or 4th season since having a varsity football team. And then lastly, Woodland defeated Southern Wells 50-13. So Woodland is now on the board in conference play. When you look at the NECC, we'll start with the NECC first and then go to the NEA. Cherubusco dominates Prairie Heights 30-6. That one's a little bit surprising. We knew Busco had the capabilities of winning this game, but to win it by that score tells you just how much Cherubusco has shown improvement over the course of these first 4 or 5 games. And you look at the stats overall, Bryce Lawrence had 3 combined touchdowns. He didn't have a lot of yards, but he did found himself into the end zone 3 times, which that's what matters the most is can you find your way to the end zone? And that's what Bryce Lawrence did. Wes Ott had a couple touchdown passes of his own. Angelo Inusilli had over 200 some rushing yards in that game for the Cherubusco Eagles. Didn't find the end zone, but he was critical for Cherubusco's field positioning and setting up the scores to allow Busco to win by 24 points. Really, the defense was the spotlight for that matchup between Busco and Prairie Heights. Prairie Heights obviously always plays hard-nosed football. They always play hard, but just didn't play their best football against a Busco team that's shown improvement. Fremont defeats Central Noble 12-11. Trace Hanshu, who's on the performer of the week list for football, just like Angelo Inusilli is, and Cooper Craig of Bluffton, and Aaron Hershey of Adams Central. Just for those that don't know, Trace Hanshu had a couple touchdown passes in that game at Central Noble, including a 71-yard TD pass to Cameron Marino to allow Fremont to hold on to that win. Central Noble did have a touchdown from Brody Morgan in that game, as well as 2 safeties, but in the end, Central Noble just could not find any offense, and the Cougars are now entering a matchup against Lakeland at CN 0-5. That's a tough place to be if you're the Central Noble Cougars. Garrett returns the Train Trophy back to their possession with a 37-7 win over the Eastside Blazers, led by Cam Rubo with 28 carries, I believe, 151 yards and 2 touchdowns. Garrett Cruz over a struggling Eastside team that's been banged up all year. And frankly, Eastside just hasn't been able to put a string of good football all year long. And right now, if you're Eastside, you gotta get this thing turned around fast because it's slowly slipping away from the Eastside Blazers. And you have Prairie Heights coming up in Butler. This is go time now for Eastside. This is make or break right now for Eastside. And we'll talk about that game in a matter of moments. Also, Lakeland's defense was critical in a 19-6 win over Angola. Keenan Royal had 7 tackles as well as 2 interceptions in that game. Lakeland's offense wasn't sharp, but in the end, the defense was the story of that game. Angola, once again, just cannot find the end zone on a consistent basis, and Lakeland showed why the Lakers have the talent that they do. And then West Noble dominates Fairfield 31-0. I believe they held Fairfield to about 70, 80 yards rushing in that game. Seth Pruitt, once again, being Seth Pruitt at over 100 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns, as Seth Pruitt is the all-time leader in career rushing TDs and has the single game rushing TD mark at 7 as he looks to continue to break more of his brother's West Noble's career stat lines at West Noble. We'll talk with Seth Pruitt about what this season's been so far for him in West Noble and even previewing the matchup against the Garrett Railroaders. We'll talk about the upcoming matchups later, but let's also talk about the Northeast 8. And there were some blowouts in this game and also some tight games as well. Columbia City defeats DeKalb 60-14. I believe DeKalb scored first in that game. It was only a 14-7 Columbia City lead after a quarter, but the Eagles, being as dominant as they have been all year, they blew away from DeKalb in the end. And Stratton Fuller, I believe, had a couple of touchdowns and interception in that game. Trace Parrish had another big performance as well. Landon Fazio, another strong performance from Columbia City. DeKalb just could not find any momentum whatsoever after the first quarter, and Columbia City showing why they're one of the top teams in the NEA. Columbia City currently outscoring their conference opponents 158-35. So you know the offense is there for Columbia City, who now have 2 games scoring 60 points in a season for the first time since 1969. That's impressive there. And Columbia City also recording their second straight 5-0 start, which is the new program record, I should say, at Columbia City. East Noble, that was the game of the week last week, and for the most part, it lived up to the hype. Logan Haddon with another pitch 6 on the season for him. He set the tempo for the East Noble Knights on a 91-yard pitch 6, which people forget that East Noble actually turned the ball over to start that game when Brock Schott deflected the lateral pass. He recovered the ball, and Leo was right into East Noble territory. And then Esquera threw a pick to Logan Haddon. Haddon takes it all the way to the house. And right from the get-go, you just knew Leo just didn't quite have their best on that night. Esquera 3 picks, just a rough game for him against a very good East Noble defense. And Nate Foster, probably the lone bright spot for Leo. He ran for 265 yards and a touchdown, I believe. He's also in the running for Performer of the Week at ANEC Sports, as well as Dylan Krell of East Noble. He ran for 218 yards and a touchdown. He had a 60-plus yard run late in the game to ice it for East Noble. I think there was about 4 minutes left in the game. That was after Mason Trish recorded his second defensive interception, and that made it 35-21 East Noble. Obviously, Leo did score to cut into that lead, cut it down to 6, thanks to the Foster 2-point conversion. And while Foster averaged 10 yards per carry, the rest of the team just couldn't find enough offense. In fact, Brock Schott only had 2 catches the whole game. One was a 50-yard TD catch, which gave Leo the lead, I believe, at one point. Yeah, actually, they did lead after that touchdown catch. But all night, East Noble just made play after play after play, whether it was Landon Slaughter's incredible catches near the goal line, Mason Trish, what he does on offense and defense. He had a TD catch, which is his first touchdown this season. Riley Biddle had over 200 yards passing on 66% completion. The defense was good once again for East Noble, holding Leo's offense down, holding them in check. The passing game just wasn't quite there at all for the Leo Lions. And guys like Pesa D, Logan Haddon, like East Noble's defense is one of the best in the area. And they showed you why East Noble continues to be one of the best programs in all of Northeast Indiana. Huntington North set a new single-game program record for the largest shutout win ever. They beat Belmont 63-0. The most points scored by Huntington North in a single game since 2009. They scored 68 against Newcastle. And while Huntington North has had struggles in conference play scoring points and specifically running the football, they were able to do so against the Belmont Braves, highlighted by Tony Decker's 5 combined touchdowns, 3 on the ground, 2 in the air. And Belmont, once again, struggling to win football games. That is now their 27th straight loss. That is a new program record at Belmont. And we're at this point now where Belmont is pretty much reaching Central Noble from 2013 territory. That's how bad things have gotten for the Belmont Braves. And I know this is a football town in Belmont. These fans love the Belmont Braves. You hate to see it, but you just got to hope that whatever you're hearing from Belmont in terms of the youth coming in Belmont, they seem to be optimistic about the future of the Belmont Braves. You just got to hope that there's still enough energy and enthusiasm that the Belmont Braves will eventually overcome this losing streak. It's going to take some patience, of course, but Belmont fans have to be hopeful that there's light at the end of the tunnel. And maybe they see it, and maybe we just don't realize it. But right now, things have been kind of sour right now for the Belmont Braves. And then Norwell holds off New Haven 25-24. Drew Graff with a 24-yard field goal. That gave Norwell, I believe, was a 22-12 lead at 25-12 lead, I believe, at one point. Then New Haven cut into that lead. But unfortunately for New Haven, the special teams bugaboo continues for the New Haven Bulldogs. And again, we talked about it in week 2 against Bishop Lures. The special teams became an issue once again for the New Haven Bulldogs. They're now 0-5 for the first time since 2000. They got to go to Columbia City, and forecast doesn't look very bright for the New Haven Bulldogs right now. They need a win real bad. So let's look at the upcoming football games coming up for week 6 of the high school football season, which means we are over the halfway mark of the season. And so we are now getting to the point where conference championships will soon be decided for the 3 main conferences that we cover at ANEC Sports. We begin with Churubusco at Fremont. Again, the battle of the Eagles between Busco and Fremont. Churubusco, with a win this Friday, will clinch a share of the small school division, which means that game at Central Noble, not at Central Noble, the game versus Central Noble at Churubusco will be the game that decides whether Busco wins it outright or not, which, by the way Central Noble's been playing right now, I think Busco's got to feel really good about those chances. Fremont, after being almost non-existent offensively for the first 3 weeks, they have been finding some offense lately, and they're slowly building confidence along the way. But can the Fremont Eagles do this against Busco, a team that runs that wing tee offense? They can pound the rock. They can throw a little bit at times. They got some athletes as well, but maybe not at the numbers that we once saw with Churubusco, but they're still athletic enough that you got to like the heart and the effort of the Busco Eagles. Fremont's got a big task ahead of them against this Churubusco team, who, by the way, Fremont has not beaten Churubusco since 2001. So there's some history that could be broke if Fremont is able to win this game. Fairfield is at Angola, shifting over to the big school division. These 2 teams have been struggling to score points as of late, especially for Angola. The Hornets just haven't found much offensive firepower all season long outside of Hawk Hasselman and maybe Corbin Roan. They ran into a buzzsaw on that Lakeland defensive front, and it's not going to get better with Fairfield. Fairfield's defense is just as good, and Fairfield's got a couple of guys that can pound the rock and score some points. And Blake Metzger and Brecken Manor. By the way, Brecken Manor had 5 touchdown runs in the win over Culver Academy. So Fairfield's capable of winning some of these games, and Fairfield's a team to watch down the stretch, especially in a role of spoiler, because if Garrett were to win against Western, we'll talk about that game in a matter of moments, the matchup with Fairfield may be more enticing than we think, because Fairfield, they can kind of play that Garrett game where they can pound the rock and limit possessions. They can play that old school style football. So that makes it very interesting in terms of what could happen. Say Garrett beats West Noble. Heritage is at Tipton, shifting over to the ACAC. Heritage taking a break from conference play. They're taking on a Tipton team that's been holding teams almost with no points whatsoever all year long. Tipton's defense has only given up 8 points per game all season long, including 2 shutouts in the process. They defeated South Adams week 1, 27-20. Tipton has a history of football success, and this is a tough matchup for Heritage, but it's a good preparation for what is to come for the rest of the regular season, as well as the state tournament, which Heritage has struggled to find any postseason success whatsoever. I think they only have one section on their entire history. So Heritage is looking to get ready for October football. Again, as I mentioned earlier, New Haven is at Columbia City. Can the New Haven Bulldogs finally overcome their own self-inflicted mistakes that they've made all year long? Can the athletes in New Haven find the way to get some offense going? Can they make less mistakes? Is probably the big thing I look at with New Haven. Because this Columbia City team, if they have the opportunities that they do, Columbia City is going to make you pay. They have that motion flex bone attack, and they score quickly. You got Stratton Floor. What Stratton Floor does best as a receiver and a running back. You got Grayson Bradbury at quarterback. He's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the area. You got Landon Fazio and Trace Parrish. They do what they do as weapons on that Columbia City team. And then you got Gavin Smith, who's just a fierce animal on both ends of the field, including on defense. He's just such a good player that most people don't talk about. And then Sam Bean on the offensive line. They got really good players. And this New Haven team has not played consistent football all year long. I'm very concerned about how bad this game could get if New Haven does not get off to a good start against Columbia City. That is a challenging matchup for New Haven to try and get their first win of the season. Norwell is at East Snowball. East Snowball's got their homecoming on this game. I can confirm that for sure. East Snowball feels very good about themselves after the win over the Leo Lions. They got to be careful about this game against Norwell. This is kind of a trap game for East Snowball because Norwell plays a little bit more of an old school style of football. They're a little bit scrappier, grittier. There's nothing fancy about Coach Gerber's style of offense, but they play hard. They got some athletes on that Norwell team. And if Norwell has the opportunities, they can present a challenge for East Snowball that we have not seen all year for the East Snowball Knights. And so Norwell is definitely going to be a spoiler in this NEA race if East Snowball lets them hang around early. Prairie Heights and the East Side. That's another big matchup in the small school division. Prairie Heights got their butts whipped by Cherubusco. Can the Panthers regroup? They had a good start. They were tested, and they lost badly to Cherubusco in week number 5. Prairie Heights looking to turn things around in Butler against Eastside. This has been a team that has ran over the Prairie Heights Panthers over the past 15 years. And this Eastside team in the past, they've been able to put 60, 70 points on this Prairie Heights team. Prairie Heights knows those feelings too well, and they want to make a statement that this is not a fluke with the Prairie Heights Panthers, who have not beaten Eastside since the 2010 season, and they have not won an Eastside since 2007. And so while Prairie Heights lost to Cherubusco, there's still an opportunity for the Panthers to get to that 5-win mark, something that hasn't happened since 2013. There's still an opportunity for Prairie Heights to get a winning season. So it's not all doom and gloom for Prairie Heights fans. And I hope the players know that there's still opportunities for the Panthers to be successful. Then Woodland County, another intriguing matchup, because last year Woodland had a double-digit lead against Jay County. Last year in Woodburn, Jay County came back to beat the Warriors 34-29. Jay County has never beaten Woodland in consecutive meetings. This is a very enticing matchup considering that Jay County nearly beat Bluffton last week, and they got a quarterback in Sean Bailey that can throw the football like he can. AJ Myers is a big-time playmaker at Jay County. This is a difficult road game for a young Woodland team that still needs to figure out who they are as a team right now. They're still working on that. They're playing hard, but they're still learning. And then we got our ANEC games of the week. We start with Huntington North and DeKalb. Huntington North has to feel really good about themselves after the way things ended for them in the past couple weeks against Columbia City. And for whatever reason, I'm drawing a blank here in the East Snowball, right? And so Huntington North now feeling confident with the win over Belmont, but DeKalb is going to be a tougher matchup. This DeKalb team has owned Huntington North in the season history, and the Barons have only lost them one time. DeKalb's at home. They've been a good home team all year. The Barons got a good taste of humble pie against Columbia City. And now DeKalb needs to turn things around and get the ship back up and running against this Huntington North team. This will be a very intriguing matchup. Could be a lot of points. Could be a defense battle. I have no idea what to expect in this matchup, which is why it's the NEA game of the week. Then we have the ACAC game of the week, the Battle of Adams County, the 72nd Battle of Adams County between the Adams Central Flying Jets and the South Adams Starfires. Adams Central has owned this series the past 6 games, but their last loss in ACAC play came against South Adams in 2020. That was the year South Adams went all the way to the state finals, and they lost to Covenant Christian in the state finals. But this South Adams team can score a lot of points. And if Adams Central lets them hang around early, they have the potential to make this a ball game. But on paper, Adams Central will be favored in this matchup in Bern. And then finally, the NECC and the NEC game of the week. The Garrett Railroaders and the West Snowball Chargers, both undefeated on the season, both undefeated in divisional play, although the difference is that Garrett does have a game in hand in that divisional race. Garrett is 1-0 in division. West Snowball is 2-0 in division. If West Snowball wins, they clinch a share of the division, in which the game at Lakeland will be the game that decides if they win outright or not. Or if Garrett wins, then Garrett has the driver's seat in the divisional race, but they still have to win couple more games because you got Fairfield coming up in week 7. I believe that's at Fairfield. And then you got the home game against Angola. And we've known in the past that Angola has proven to be a nemesis to Garrett over the years. So these two teams like to run the football. These two teams have very talented linemen. They're good defensively. They are going to be, this is going to be a physical game. And if West Noble plays their cards right, this is going to be an absolute war between the Garrett Railroaders and the West Noble Chargers. I will say this with West Noble, there is a slight edge for the Chargers in terms of that Seth Pruitt being the best running back in the area, probably the best all-around player in the area. And they have the pass coverage to make things interesting for Garrett. But Garrett's going to be in this game. No question about it. And I think West Noble has to realize that this is going to be a battle for 4 quarters. This is not going to be like it was in the past. And I think we have ourselves a ball game in Ligonier. This could be a Super Sam Classic on Friday night. I hope for the fans that are planning to attend that game in Ligonier, please come. This is probably going to be one of the best games of the year without question. So that's what it looks like in terms of football. Now we get into volleyball. So let's start on with some upcoming matchups for volleyball. We begin with Monday night in ACAC. Leo at Adams Central. Both teams come in with 13 wins in the season. Adams Central coming off a 5-set win over Jay County and I believe it's a 3-set win over Woodland after being swept by Belmont on Monday night. Adams Central has an opportunity to take this conference race into that matchup with South Adams, which could decide the conference altogether. That's a very intriguing matchup in Monroe as they face off against Emerson Weaver and the Leo Lions. On Tuesday, South Adams at Jay County. South Adams only 2 losses all year. They're 19-2. Jay County 6-7, but they have been an interesting team. They're 2-1 in conference play. They beat Bluffton in 5 sets. They beat Woodland in 5 sets. They lost to Adams Central in 5 sets. Jay County has shown in their conference matches that they can go the distance with these teams. Jay County's at home in this matchup. Another intriguing matchup in Portland. Bluffton, Adams Central. Bluffton has been a menace in the past for the Bluffton Tigers. That'll be an interesting team to watch against Adams Central. Heritage and Woodland. East Allen County Schools matchup between Heritage and Woodland. Again, the Woodland Warriors bounce back after a tough loss to the Flying Jets. We go to the NECC on Monday. You have Homestead and Angola. Homestead's 14-3. Angola is 13-1. Homestead has been dominant most of the year, led by the Purdue commit Annie Tyndall, which Tyndall is averaging 3.9 kills per set. And Savvy Walker's got 30 blocks on the season. So there's some talent on this Homestead team. And Angola just swept Northwood and Belmont on Saturday at Northwood. They beat Northwood in 5 sets, thanks to a school record 37 kills from Maya Harris, and swept Belmont in the process, which Belmont's Mary Kate Scheinman reached 1,000 kills. This is a very intriguing out-of-conference matchup for Angola as they this will set up the AEC game of the week, first of 2 AEC volleyball matches of the week, as Angola travels to Fremont to face a 14-win Fremont team that had a pretty quiet week last week because of the matchup with St. Joseph got canceled. So Fremont looking to see if they can compete with the Angola Hornets. You have Westview at Garrett. Another intriguing matchup in Garrett's. Lakeland at Eastside. I will talk with Stephanie Dunkel of the Lakeland Lakers as we assess their season up to this point for the Lakers volleyball team. Prairie Heights is at Central Noble. Prairie Heights has a history of success, but they've been struggling this year. Only 4 wins, I believe, coming into this week. But we know Prairie Heights is capable of winning some of these matches. And then on Thursday, you have Fremont and Prairie Heights. As I mentioned earlier, intriguing Steuben County matchup there. Angola is at Garrett. Garrett has shown to be a pretty scrappy team as well. Fairfield at West Noble. Always a big rivalry game between these two schools. West Noble has 14 wins in the season. They've been looking pretty strong of late after a couple setback losses to Angola, to Northridge, and at the hands of Lakeland. We shift over to the NEA. On Tuesday, Belmont is at East Noble. East Noble is 1-0 in conference play after sweeping the Cal Barons. That was a surprise. Now they get to host Belmont, the multi-reigning NEA champions, and the Belmont Braves looking to defend their conference title, but not an easy task going to Kendallville against an improved East Noble team. The Calves at Huntington North. The Calves 13-5. They're looking to bounce back after being swept by East Noble. Huntington North has shown in the past they can compete. still at 9-10. They have some talent. They're a little younger, but they are resilient as well. Norwell at Columbia City. This could be a 4 or 5 set matchup between the Knights and the Columbia City Eagles at Columbia City. Norwell's got some solid players on their own, led by Emma Vachon and Vanessa Rossworm. Columbia City has some talent as well. A little bit younger from last year, but still a decent enough team to compete in the Northeast State. And then on Thursday, East Snowball's hosting Huntington North. Another intriguing matchup in Kendallville as East Snowball gets their homestand cooking for the East Snowball Knights. Columbia City is at New Haven. New Haven has dropped some matches of late, but they're still hovering around 500. New Haven looking to bounce back after a 3-set sweep to the hands of Belmont. Norwell is at the Calv, another intriguing matchup in Waterloo. And then the other ANEC volleyball match of the week, Belmont at Leo at the Lions Den. Leo has been Belmont's toughest challenger for the past several years. In fact, Leo is the last team to win a conference championship outside of Belmont. And so Leo does have the talent to compete with Belmont. They're at home. You know that home court advantage is going to help Leo a little bit. They got some good players in that team led by Emerson Weaver, one of the top outside hitters in the area. And so very intriguing matchup in Leo to see whether or not Belmont can hang on to that conference lead and try to defend the conference championship, or Leo makes things interesting in that conference race. We shift over to boys soccer real quick. Jay County is at Heritage. I believe this is the second and final matchup between Jay County and Heritage. Heritage won the first meeting in Jay County 5-2. Heritage is looking to secure the conference championship, and a win over Jay County would go a long way of doing that. On Wednesday, Heritage is at Leo. Leo, one of the top teams in the Northeast State. So that will be an intriguing matchup for the Heritage Patriots, who has shown some capabilities of being some good teams in the process. You look at the NECC, by the way, we talked about the NECC for boys soccer. Congratulations to West Snowball winning the conference tournament over Angola 2-1. And then Westview Girls Soccer defeated the Angola Hornets 5-1. Now we go over to this week's matchups. Bethany Christian plays some conference games. They play some games against NECC opponents, one which is against Prairie Heights. We'll talk about another matchup shortly. West Snowball, the current conference tournament champions, they're at Garrett on Thursday. And then Westview is at Bremen. Westview coming off a disappointing first-round exit at the hands of West Snowball. I believe that was a 5-1 score. Westview looking to ride the ship in the regular season. They hope to play their best soccer towards the postseason. Bremen is 8-1-1 entering that matchup. On Saturday, you have Elkhart, a 7-win Elkhart team going to West Snowball to face the Chargers, who are 9-3. And then a big rivalry game in Goshen. Westview is taking on Bethany Christian, the reigning 1A state champions. Bethany is 7-2-2. They got some big matchups coming up, including a game on Tuesday when they're taking on Trinity Greenlawn in Trinity, a game that could very well decide the Hoosier Plains Conference. Another intriguing matchup as well. You look at the NE8s. On Monday, Belmont is hosting New Haven. New Haven made things interesting last week. They went to penalty kicks against Columbia City, but the Eagles prevailed on, I believe it was Monday or Tuesday night. Not 100% sure. But Columbia City did win in penalty kicks. East Snowball's at Columbia City. East Snowball, a little bit of a skid as of late, including a loss to Norwell 2-1, which Philip Geyer had, I think, 23 saves on 24 shots on goal. He's in the running for Performer of the Week. Again, Columbia City riding the conference lead, so to speak. They're the ones in control of the NEA race right now, but they still have a matchup with the Calv awaiting in their schedule. Leo is at Huntington North. Huntington North defeated the Calv last week, so they've shown some capabilities of competing in the conference. And Leo, 6-2-2, right in that midst with Columbia City, just like last year. And you never, and Leo just last week beat the Calv 7-4. So you know Leo still has that conference title implication still in the works for the Leo Lions. And that matchup, we say, could very well decide the Northeast State Championship, which is only a couple weeks away. And the Norwell, the Calv trying to get out of their losing skid. Norwell has some confidence now after snapping their 6-game losing streak as well. Shifting over to Wednesday, East Snowball's hosting Belmont, another intriguing matchup between two teams that have some solid goalkeepers of their own. And then on Saturday, Norwell's at Columbia City. Columbia City seen as the heavier favorite of the two, but Norwell has shown in the past that they can be a scrappy team. Leo's at Blackhawk Christian. Blackhawk, one of the better programs, one of the better small school programs in all of this area. That's a nice non-conference matchup for the Leo Lions. In girls soccer, we go in the ACAC briefly on Thursday. Jay County is at Yorktown, 6-4 Jay County, getting close to the end of the regular season as they look to secure the ACAC championship, which they will take on Heritage for the second and final time on Saturday in Monroeville. That matchup may more than likely will decide the ACAC championship, whether or not Jay County can secure that conference championship. For the NECC, on Monday, Lakeland West Snowball square off. West Snowball nearly defeated the Angola Hornets in the conference tournament. They fell 4-3 at the hands of the Fighting Carly Gillens and the Angola Hornets. Gillen had 3 goals in that match, which helped Angola defeat the West Snowball Chargers in the conference tournament semifinals. Lakeland shut out Central Noble 1-0 in the conference tournament before being shut out by Westview 4-0. On Tuesday, Angola and Westview meet once again. This time at Westview, the conference tournament title game was at West Snowball. Now they go to Westview for the conference regular season championship, which a win for Westview will all but certainly will seal the conference championship for the Westview Warriors. Central Noble is taking on Northside. That's an intriguing non-conference matchup for the Central Noble Cougars. In the NE8s, on Monday, Columbia City is at East Noble. Addie Baxter is coming off a monster performance last week, scoring 12 goals in those 2 matchups last week. One which was a 7-goal performance against New Haven to put Addie Baxter over the top as the all-time leading goal scorer in Columbia City history for girls soccer. By the way, she is the Butler basketball commit. We will be talking quite a bit about Addie Baxter when we get to the basketball season. East Noble, 8-1. They're capable of beating somebody in the NE8. They got some talent of their own, led by Avery Imstutz, Olivia Winkle, Addie Fry. They got a goaltender, Maitland Booth. That's pretty good as well. So East Noble showing some life in that conference race. DeKalb and Norwell. DeKalb looking to stay in that conference race, stay within striking distance of Belmont. We'll talk about that in a matter of moments. They take on a Norwell team that can score some goals in bunches, led by Grace Mann, which Grace is the man for the Norwell Knights. She has been a monster for the Knights her entire career up to this point, which she is only a junior. And then Belmont is at New Haven. Belmont's the heavy favorite in that matchup. Belmont is coming off a 1-0 win over the Leo Lions, to which their goalkeeper, which is drawing a blank for some reason, she recorded a 14-save clean sheet against the Leo Lions. Emily Barton had an 18-save clean sheet against the Leo Lions. She also had a clean sheet against Jay County and a 6-save clean sheet against Snyder, and which Glenn Laurent, I believe, scored the only goal of the match against Leo. She had a multi-goal performance, I believe, against Jay County. So Belmont now in the driver's seat in the NE8 once again. They might repeat as conference champions, especially if they take down the DeKalb Barons. Leo is hosting Huntington North on Tuesday. Leo trying to get that bad taste out of their mouth against Belmont last week, trying to stay within striking distance of that conference race. But Leo also knowing that they want to be able to compete in that conference, not conference race, but the state tournament. We know they're competing in the conference, but we want to see Leo wants to be able to compete in the state tournament. And then on Wednesday, East Noble is at Belmont. That's another intriguing matchup. East Noble has shown some fight this year, and if Belmont has to be careful about overlooking the East Noble Knights. They're young, they're scrappy, they're energetic, they're a very athletic team. Belmont's got to make sure they defend home court, or home field, I should say. We're not in basketball, but Belmont wants to be able to take care of home field and home cooking. Belmont wants to be able to take care of business at home against the East Noble Knights. And then on Thursday, Leo is at Bishop Dwayner. Dwayner's 6-1-1. They've won the top teams in 4A all season long. Leo, potentially a competitor in that 4A state tournament. Another intriguing matchup in the Summit City. And that, folks, is the talk around the corner. And now we get to our interviews. First with the head girls volleyball coach at Lakeland, Stephanie Dunkel, and the senior running back at West Noble, Seth Pruitt. I'm here with the head volleyball coach of the Lakeland Lakers, Stephanie Dunkel. Coach, thank you for taking your time to come on the show, talk about your team, and how are things going for you and your Lady Lakers?
Yeah, thanks for having me. We have had a pretty decent year so far. We're 4-1 in conference. Our losses to Angola. And overall, I think we're still learning to, groove together as a team. And we've had some success so far. And I look forward to having and seeing more success throughout the rest of our season.
Nice. Let's take a look back at the transition from last year to this year. Last year's team was a younger team, a bit of a rebuilding year for your team. You return a lot of your players back from that team, including a couple of young sophomores that kind of moved up in the varsity roster and whatnot. Obviously, we know about Adeline Denny for quite some time at libero for the Lakeland Lakers. You have Kara Shatko, I believe, at middle, who's been your leader in blocks this year. You also have some
Yes.
younger players that have been playing well as well for Lakeland, including a player by the name of Abriana Satterfield, who last week was our ANEC Volleyball Performer of the Week at ANEC Sports.
Yes,
Talk about what Satterfield brings to the Lakers and talk about this nucleus as a whole.
absolutely. So Abriana, she's just an overall, all around great player. Whatever you ask her to do, she can do it, and she does it well. You ask her to play back row, to set, to hit, she can do it all. She has such um, like a energetic like attitude that she brings to our court. She gets so excited and so hype at every point that we win. And I think, a lot of people can, breed off of that and go to her for, hey, let's get hype and let's keep it rolling. And she's really good at digging deep and just getting the job done when it needs to be. Um, and I think we have a lot of those on our team as well that they just really work well together and mesh well. As a whole, I think, that really goes into a lot of it. They all work well together. They trust each other on the court. They know what everyone is capable of. And we're able to, really jive and groove together. It just works really well.
Mhm. As of today, your team comes in at 11-7, 4-1 in the NECC play. You actually started the season 0-2, losing two close matches in 4 sets to Northridge and DeKalb, which last I checked both have winning records coming into this week. Your team has won 11 of your last 16 matches now going into this week. I want to highlight a few matches in particular that stand out to me. We talk about the reverse sweep of Westview after being down 0-2, the 4-set close win over West Snowball, the 4-set win over East Snowball, right? Those three wins in particular stand out to me. Talk about those three matches in particular and how much your team learned from those three games.
Yeah. So with Westview, I'm not real sure what our issue was, I guess, in the first 2 sets. We didn't play like we normally played. We just couldn't get anything rolling, could never get on a good, roll of getting points and points and points. We just kept making mistakes and whatnot. After those 2 lost sets, I had before our third set had our talk with them, just saying, hey, look, they don't really have to work that hard. We're the ones that have to come back. They just need one more set. We need 3 to win the whole thing. And I pretty much just ask them, what do they think they're made of? What can they prove to themselves that they're capable of doing? And they turned around and proved it to themselves and to me, and I think to everyone else. And it was just a super ecstatic moment. Westview has been a great team and a great program for years, and they have some really good players on their team as well. And they're not easy to beat, and I don't think they ever will be. They're super scrappy and just always work well together. And it was pretty hard to come back from that. And they just do not give up points. You have to earn your points every time you play them, and that is one thing that I think we're starting to learn and do in our program is, actually earn those points and execute things. West Noble, man, they're tough. They've got some good incoming players from this year that are just going to be extraordinary for years to come. And that game was super, super close and very exciting and a thriller to be honest about that. It was a very tough match. And I think my girls were able to uh, just pick up the pieces and be able to come back and prove what they're made of. And I think it helped that our game was at home. We had a really, really good crowd that night, and it just kept us hype and we were able to play well. East Noble, always a good program. We ended up losing to them at the Prairie Heights tournament. We went 3 sets with them, and they're great. Their libero is amazing. They're always a great team as well. And being able to come through and not just give up just because we're down a set or 2, or just because, we're not playing well and whatnot, we always come back and find a way. And I think that's something about our team that, is hard to teach, is to, you can't really coach girls to, hey, find it deep down inside to go back and, get wins, get points. They have to have that naturally, and they do, a lot of them. So it helps to have that.
Mm-hmm. And you talked about that finding the way, right? That resilience, and you showed some of that against Angola just last week. You lost in 4 sets to the Hornets, a team that's dominated the conference over the last, 4 or 5 years or so. When Lloyd Ball was there, and now you got Coach Harris running the program. He's got his two daughters still playing, Angola and Ava and Maya Harris. Talk about what some of the takeaways from that match that's helped you to get to where you are today.
Yes. Angola is extraordinary and has been for quite some time, and they're always a tough team to beat, and they're always going to be. I think my girls had a mindset that we were going to go in, and it wasn't just, hey, let's try to get X amount of points, or hey, let's try not to get blown out. It was, hey, we're going to fight for sets. Like, we're going to actually try to go in and go for some wins of sets and maybe even win the match. I think we were very capable of doing better. I don't think we played to our potential that we've shown, against West Noble and against East Noble and teams like that. But I do think it was a learning curve of, we did take a set, and they, it proves to them, hey, we're capable of those things. And we just have to put our mind to it and believe that we can do it. And once we do, and we all are on the same page, then we're able to do it.
Mm-hmm. Not too long ago, this Lakeland team did win a conference championship in 2020. Obviously, you wasn't the head coach at the time, but you witnessed from a distance about how big that moment was for the Lakeland program. And looking at your schedule and whatnot, you have Eastside coming up on Tuesday, Central Noble on Thursday at home. You got Bethany Christian on Saturday. About a week from Tuesday, you got Fremont, Northwoods on your schedule. Cherubusco's on your schedule as well. You playing a tough sectional with a team like Northwood and West Noble, and Columbia City, I believe, is in your sectional now as well. As you look at where your team's at right now, looking towards the upcoming games ahead, where do you want to see your team continue to learn and improve as you get ready for sectionals and the conference tournament?
Yeah. So I just want to make sure that it doesn't matter who our opponent is on the other side, that we go out and we play our game. We're capable of so much. And I know sometimes, coaching in the past and coaching other teams, a lot of times the teams either play up to a level or they play down to a level. And I just want our girls to stay consistent at playing on our level that we're capable of. And consistently, this season we have focused on, certain things of what is best for us, and not just tailoring it to what team we're playing. It's more of, we're training to be the best that we can be. We're training to be that consistent every game. Doesn't matter who we play, where we play, we're going to step on the court and we're going to give it 110% every time, the whole game. So instilling that in the girls, especially, at the younger age and younger levels, is hard to, it's harder when they're older and they get, to the varsity level. If they don't already have that in them, it's hard to instill it in them at that point. So it's been awesome to see that they have that, that they can go in and get things done when they need to. As far as conference goes, I think that we have a great chance of winning the rest of our conference matches. I think at the conference tournament, we have a good chance at, as long as we show up and play our game, I think we have a good chance at, maybe being in that championship game, hopefully. And then sectionals, I think we dropped down to 2A this year.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah. So I think we have a good chance to, maybe get that sectional title. And that's my goal for the beginning of season before I saw any teams play or anything like that. My goal was top 3 in conference and win a sectional title for this year. And I'm hoping maybe we can finish top 2 even in conference, and we'll see how that pans out. And maybe we can get lucky enough to get a conference tournament title. I'm not sure, but I think we're very capable with the team that we have, as long as we show up and play our game.
Mhm. Before I get to my next question, I do want to correct it for those that don't understand what we're talking about in terms of sectionals. Lakeland did drop the 2 due to enrollment, so this is an all NECC sectional with your team, Prairie Heights, Cherubusco, Central Noble, East Side, and I believe Westview is also still in that sectional as well. So your team has not won a sectional in over 20 years, so this will be interesting to see once we get to October and whatnot. I want to talk more about the team in general beyond volleyball itself. Take me through the everyday experience with your team. What are some of the personal things you see that bring the positivity and excitement with this program?
Yeah. So, the girls are dedicated. They work out in the summers with our trainer. They work out during season with our trainer. I just had a daughter. They absolutely love her and accept her. And she comes to practices and games and tournaments all the time with us. And they just love her to death. And it takes, special girls and relationships with them to be that close with them, to bring your family into it. And I just think they all have such great demeanors. They're such great girls. They have their head on straight. They get along well. They're just overall great in the school, in the public. I just think, they want the best for themselves and they want the best for each other. And I think that makes a huge difference when you're trying to win things, that they trust each other and they will do what it takes for each other to get there.
This is Stephanie Dunkel, the head girls volleyball coach of the Lakeland Lakers, as we're getting over the halfway mark of the regular season for volleyball. Coach, one final question for me. You have been coaching at Lakeland for quite a few years now, since, I don't know, 2021, 2022, I believe. I can't count math these days on Sunday nights. But anyway, talk about what has been up to this point for you being the coach at Lakeland, and just how excited are you and your team to get ready?
I think you kind of came out there. What was that again?
Okay. You and
Sorry, Sam, it's kind of breaking up. I'm not sure if it's my connection. Kind
it
of
might
went
be
out a
my
little
end. I
bit.
don't know. Let me just
Oh, there
make
we go.
this
I can
more
hear you now.
okay. As you've been coaching in Lakeland for quite a few years now, and obviously you have some success at Lakeland. It's been a fun ride up to this point for you and your team. Talk about the excitement of playing in the postseason and just how it's been being the coach at Lakeland.
Yeah, so I had a short stint. Why I can't do math on Sundays either, but it's been a while ago. And then I was gone for 3 years, I think it was, and I've been back for now. This is my 4th season. And from my first stint to now, it has done a total turnaround. In the summers when we do open gyms, it went from 0 girls showing up to now, being able to play 6-on-6 with extras. We have girls that just have started to trust and believe in the program and in the things that we're teaching them and instilling in them. And so that makes a big difference. You see more girls playing club. You see more girls touching the ball more than, they did before. It used to be season only and they wouldn't do it again until the next year. So a lot of that makes a big difference from what I've seen when I first started coaching to now. And a lot more want to play and they want to be good. They've gone through the system, with that sophomore class, they've gone through and been very successful and been winning. And to have that mentality carried forward makes a big difference, I think, too, throughout everything, because when you lose and you lose and you lose, then winning isn't that big of a deal to you anymore. But when you win and win and win, you don't want to be losing anymore, or at all. So I think it makes a big difference to make sure that, at the younger levels, that they're becoming successful and they're being taught the right things so that they can continue to carry that forward into, when they get up to my level. As far as postseason goes, like, I am just so excited to see how the rest of the conference matches go. And I'm excited to maybe get a chance at, a conference tournament title. And getting ready and preparing for sectionals is, kind of basically just the rest of our regular season matches, just seeing how we, match up with the ones that we're going to be playing in sectional, how we do, if it's going to be close, if it's, going to be something that maybe we have in the bag. I don't know yet until we play those games, but it's definitely not going to be easy. It's something that we can't think that we already have. Just because we went down to 2A does not mean it's going to be any easier. The teams that are in that sectional are, used to winning, and very tough teams. Prairie Heights, Westview, all of them, they're very successful programs. And so we definitely cannot take anyone lightly. And I'm just so excited to see what we're capable of, and what the girls decide that they're going to bring to the table. And I know that we're very capable, and I'm excited to see the outcome of it all.
Very nice to hear. Coach, final thoughts before we let you go.
I just hope that I wish luck to everybody that we play. I hope that we end the season on a winning note, and continue to win conference matches, and just get into sectionals and come out on top.
All right, Coach. Thank you for taking the time to talk about the Lakers, and good luck on the rest of the season.
Thank you very much.
I'm here with the senior running back of the West Noble Chargers, Seth Pruitt. Seth, how are you doing this evening, and how are things going for your football season?
I'm good. And so far football's been pretty good.
Yep, I can imagine that. Seth, going into the season, obviously last year your team went undefeated, going all the way to the sectional semifinals, where you lost by one score to Knott's on the road. That was a game where West Noble could have, and maybe a lot would argue should have, won that game. Seth, when you look back at that last season going into this year, how much did that motivate your team to strive even more for this year to be even more special?
Well, that was a tough loss. Nobody takes it harder than the people that were in the game, and my coaches, they really did not like that. We've been working really hard because of that. We won't make those mistakes again.
Mm-hmm. Seth, when you look at this year's West Noble Chargers so far, obviously having to replace quarterback Drew Yates was not an easy task whatsoever, but you have an experienced quarterback coming in Trey Schisler on that team. He's got some varsity experience under his belt, whether it was at Central Noble or now at West Noble. You got a lot of experience back, not only yourself, but also Fernando Macias, I believe, behind you in that backfield. You got a lot of weapons on that West Noble team, an experienced front line coming back. What are some things that stand out about this year's team?
Yeah, like you said, it was tough replacing Drew, but Trey is just as good, if not better. He's shifty. He can throw in the pocket. He'll run it if he needs to. Uh, and with the people coming back, they all know what to do. Not really much to say other than the experience helps a lot, uh, and we carry that into every game.
Mhm. Seth, as you know, you have a natural competitive spirit about you at West Snowball. Obviously, your brother Brandon played before you came, and Braxton as well. Seth, you come into this week. I believe you're just under 3,800 yards rushing. You just set the program record for career touchdowns at 56 and counting. You actually set the single game record for rushing TDs with 7, I believe, against, I want to say, Wawasee in week 2. That was the game where you played Friday, had to play Saturday because of the storms and whatnot. Seb, how does it mean to have Brandon being such a role model for you and for you to set those milestones and whatnot, and how much that family connection impacts you as an individual?
Oh, it's amazing. I wouldn't be where I am today without Brandon and Braxton, my whole family. They pushed me to be what I am today. I appreciate everything they've done. They're always on the side, either on the sideline or in the stands. They're always the loudest cheering. They're amazing. Uh, with that, even breaking those records, Brandon especially is really happy for me, even though they're his records and it sucks to have his name off. He is really ecstatic for me, and that means a lot.
Mhm. And also, you still have the career rushing yards record at West Noble, which Brandon still holds around 4,299 yards. You're just over 500 yards away from matching that career rushing yard mark. And obviously, you would rather trade those personal milestone records for a sectional championship or conference championship at West Noble, to which West Noble's still looking for their very first sectional championship. Seth, when you look at the schedule, you dominate Central Noble, which was to be expected. Dominated Wawasee, shut out East Side, and then in divisional play, you've outscored Angola and Fairfield by a combined score of 66-10. Seth, when you look at the West Noble team, obviously we talked about the offense and being as dominant as it is, but the defense probably quietly having a dominant season up to this point. Just talk about not only this year, but throughout the course of your time at West Noble, just how much of that motivation does it play a factor and not only be able to score as often as you do, but also be able to have that physical West Noble defense that you've come to know.
Yeah, I think we hear a lot about our offense more than we should. Like, I feel like we should hear more about our defense more often because they're really amazing. Everybody on there, a lot of them are two-way offense and defense, and I don't think they get enough recognition. I think our offense scores a lot, so like, of course, people hear about that and they think that's really cool. But our defense is every bit or more impressive than our offense. The people on there really physical. They don't want to let up anything, and they don't most of the time. So they're doing really good, and it makes me feel better that the whole game's not like on offensive shoulders. Because usually, if we just scored one touchdown, we, we're in the clear because our defense is just that good.
And to put more context into that defense, your run defense at West Noble has been sensational. You have not given up 100 yards rushing all season long in a game. I believe the most you've given up all year, I think, is 89 or 92 rushing yards in a game all season long. That's how good this West Noble defense is. Just for the run defense and even the pass defense has been just as good. We talked about with Xavier Yates, who's I believe only a junior at strong safety, one of the best lockdown pass defenders in the entire area. You look at Ethan Yates, only a sophomore in West Noble. Seb, how much do the Yates kids mean to the program at West Noble and to the West Noble as a whole?
Well, I mean, you've seen it through the years. Drew was amazing. Xavier's amazing, and Ethan's showing you how amazing he can be. Uh, they all started as freshmen. It's they're just crazy athletic, and also I won't talk about Drew, but Xavier and Ethan, since they're on the team, I'll talk about them. Xavier, since he's came in, he's been one of the best defenders on our team and in the conference. He deserves more than a lot of people show him. But and Ethan came in as a freshman. They're just crazy athletic. Uh, they're all good at different things. Uh, Ethan's bigger than his brothers, but Xavier's more athletic. Drew is faster. It's just they're just all really good at different things.
Mhm. And that's not without mentioning Jordan Esch, who's had a couple caused fumbles to lead your team. You got Mikhail Bados, who's also another crazy athletic player on your team as well. And also, one point, as you know, last year you had 3 Yates players all starting in the same game, which rarely ever happens at any high school, let alone school at the size of West Noble. Seth, let's talk about that big matchup against Garrett. Everybody is talking about this game. This is the first time we've ever seen West Noble and Garrett face off against each other undefeated. Seth, when you look at Garrett, obviously last year they gave you guys a game in the first half. You know what Garrett's going to bring. They're going to run the football. They're going to play physical football. They're going to try to play their style of brand of football. When you look at this year's Garrett team, what are some things that stand out to you about the Railroaders, and what are things your team's going to have to do well enough for you to have a chance to clinch a share of the division at least and have an opportunity to win it outright once again?
Well, you just mentioned how they're going to run and be physical. I think my team can be any bit or more physical than Garrett. We showed it a couple times last year, I think. And again, you also mentioned how they're going to run it and stuff, and you also mentioned how our team don't let that happen. So I don't think our team's going to let Garrett run it at all.
It will definitely be interesting to see how these two teams match up on Friday, as that will be the AEC game of the week between the Garrett Railroaders and the West Noble Chargers in Ligonier. That place will be rocking on Friday night as well. Coming up next week after that, you got a matchup at Lakeland, which could be another interesting matchup considering where Lakeland's at in divisional standings. You look at the sectional; they've made some realignment on the 3A sectional, as well as all the other state tournaments. And your sectional is paired up with you, Garrett, Fairfield, Angola, and Lakeland. Talk about how this schedule helps you prepare for sectionals, considering how much familiarity there is in that sectional.
Well, I mean, after we face everybody, we'll already know what we can do and can't do, which will help a lot. Uh, I mean, I guess that's it. I mean, we'll just know what we can and can't do, what to change. Our coaching staff is just amazing with that. We're really they all they do is stay on huddle. Just keep watching film. They're just amazing people, and they'll adjust to it.
Couple more questions from me, Seth. Obviously, you've been coached by Monte Mayhorta this whole entire time. You've spent many years getting to know Monte and what he and the program have invested in Ligonier for all these years. He's now the winningest coach in the history of West Noble football. Is there anything you can say to give thanks to Monte for what he's brought to you and for your family?
Yes, Mayhorter, Coach Mayhorter has been helping me since I was in just coming up into middle school. My brothers were up there in the weight room, so I would try going up there with them, and he'd help me. He helped me on the off season. And it's not just me. Like he'll help any kid get better. He's a great coach, great person. Yeah, I mean, like he's just a great person. I don't know.
No, that's fair enough. One final question for me, Seth. This is your senior year at West Noble. You've been a part of some of the most memorable moments in the history of the program and for West Noble High School for you as a student as well. How much do you want to make this senior year a memorable one for you as you wrap up your high school career?
I want to make it really memorable. I would like to do things that we haven't done, like win a sectional. Hopefully, get that Brandon's other records. Uh, just to beat him, it's like I said, like he's really excited for me to beat him, but he also gives me some crap for not beating him already. So it'd be pretty fun to do that. And the people there make it memorable. My team they're just all wonderful people, and they want it just as bad as I do.
And and that's that final home game for you as a senior. It's gonna settle in pretty quickly once we get there. We're not too far away from that moment. I believe that's week 8 against Cherubusco. It's gonna hit you like a pound of rocks, so to speak. So
Yeah, it's been going by pretty fast. It don't even feel like it.
no, I know what you're feeling right now. Seth, any final thoughts before we let you go? Thank you for talking about the West Noble Chargers, of course.
Thank you for having me.
All right, that is Seth Pruitt, the senior running back of the West Noble Chargers, as they prepare for the Garrett Railroaders for a Week 6 Clash of the Titans in Ligonier. Seth, thank you, and have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you to Stephanie Dunkel, Lakeland, and Seth Pruitt of West Noble for taking their time tonight as we are recording around 7:20 p.m. on Sunday, September 22nd. We want to thank them for the time to talk about their team, about their respective teams as we get set to conclude the month of September in a matter of a couple of weeks. And where we'll be talking about postseason competition for both football and volleyball, the two main sports here in the fall sports season. And again, we want to remind you, girls golf regionals will be taking place this week. We'll be getting to the last stretch of the soccer season, to which we will soon be able to figure out who wins the NECC championships, at least for the girls soccer side. Boys soccer may take an extra week or two to get that decided. ACAC conference championship may be decided this week as well. We'll see if Belmont girls soccer can hang on in the conference race. Columbia City boys soccer, same thing with them. And we will be talking about postseason sports here at ANEC Sports. So that's going to do it here for this episode of the ANEC Sports Podcast. Tune in next week for another episode of this ANEC Sports Podcast, which would be episode 10. Can't believe it's already been 10 episodes. I don't know how I do this, but thank you for the support. Thank you for all you the fans do to make this possible. So thank you again. And so my name is Sam Frick. Enjoy the rest of the week. Thank you for watching the ANEC Sports Podcast. Please like this video and like the page ANEC Sports on YouTube. Let people know that the ANEC Sports is on YouTube. Also like our Facebook page at Around the Northeast Corner and follow either Around the Northeast Corner and Sam Frick on Twitter/X. We're also on Instagram as well. Just look for ANEC Sports or Around the Northeast Corner, and you will find us there. You can also follow the man himself, Sam Frick, the founder and editor at Around the Northeast Corner, for other additional content. This has been an Around the Northeast Corner presentation.